Well, hello, everybody. We're over here at Gresham Motorsports Park for Garage Talk, and we're fortunate enough today to have with us three-time Indy Racing League champion, now moved on to the Sprint Cup, driving the number 77 Mobil 1 Dodge Charger for Penske Racing, and that's Sam Hornish Jr. And Sam, thanks for appearing with us today.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
I guess the first most natural question that most people would want to know is tell us what the transition is like from the Indy Racing League to NASCAR.
It's tough, but obviously the cars are just so much different. That's really the biggest thing, is the weight of the cars. These cars actually have more horsepower than the cars did, less downforce, they weigh more. So everything you do, whether you're trying to go, stop, or turn, it doesn't want to do it as well. So you just have to be really patient with the cars, and that's one of the things that's been difficult for me, is learning how patient you really have to be with them to keep the tires on it and to keep from getting yourself in trouble.
I got you. Well, that was the question I was going to ask. You've made steady progress here since you've been since you started in 2007. You finished 13th at Martinsville. That's your best finish this year. How do you feel your progress is going this year, and what are you expecting?
I guess I'm getting tired of saying it, but our results really don't show how we've ran on track. We've been we're running in the top 5 at down here at Atlanta, and ended up having a valve spring break, and we ended up 28th, and then the next week at Bristol we were running 11th and had a coil go bad, which nobody's ever had a coil go bad that they can remember. So I mean, we just kind of sometimes get a little bit of the bad luck, but I think that we've it's better to run well and to have a mechanical problem than just to run bad all day long and have to wonder why you couldn't run faster.
I understand what you're saying, and really, there's so many things that have to happen for you to be successful, and some of it is luck. You've got to have a good team. Tell me a little bit about what driving for Penske Racing is like, having Roger Penske behind you.
It's you can't really put it into words. Roger's I've known him for quite a while now, and to have an opportunity, I think this is my 7th or 8th year driving for him. So I mean, it's been pretty neat to get to know him as a person, and couldn't find a better guy out there to drive for. Always does really good to try to take care of his drivers and his people, and the one thing I can say about Roger is that most people don't know is really just how hard he works. I mean, I couldn't keep up with him. I'm only 30, and he's in his 70s, and I mean, the guy, I think he only gets about 2 hours of sleep at night.
Well, he's an intense guy, and you always know that he's trying to be as successful as possible in everything that he does. One thing I did want to ask you is, when you come to a place like Gresham Motorsports Park to test, what are you trying to accomplish? What are you telling your team after you go out on the racetrack and run some laps, and you come back in, and what are you telling them?
Well, we can't go to a place, any of the places that we actually race at and test, because the rules are against that. And so we try to find the places that are closest to something that we can kind of measure. There's a place in Rockingham that we go to that is kind of like Martinsville. So you're always trying to find this next track, or find a track that you can go to and run in. And Gresham really reminds me a lot. Going into 3 here reminds me a lot of the entry to Turn 3 at Richmond. Getting into 1 here kind of reminds me a little bit of Turn 1 at Phoenix. So I mean, those places are kind of similar. You just really need to go out there and we're trying to not necessarily make our car work 100% perfect for Gresham, but to try some ideas for when we get to Phoenix this weekend and the car's a little bit tight, doesn't want to turn in the middle, this is what we did at Gresham. And if those things continue to transfer over, then we feel good about coming here and testing before we go to Phoenix or Richmond each time. So it's a super nice place, and I really like it so far.
Well, fantastic. Well, one other question, and that is, as you've moved through your racing career, you're a native of Ohio, and you've gone all the way through from go-karts all the way up to NASCAR, through the Indy Racing League and everything. What's the hardest part of the transfer from the open wheel racing to NASCAR?
You know, another big thing that you have to remember is that the engine's in front of you here as opposed to being behind an Indy car. So the way that the car just feels at any point in time, I feel like it's a lot more numb. You know, it doesn't give you all the feedback of what an Indy car. Indy car is, you know, very precise because of the wings and the downforce that it has. If it's a little bit tight, I mean, it really jumps out and says, man, this thing's tight. But, you know, this is always kind of a balancing act because the car is never going to be perfect. So even once you get to the point where you feel like you understand the cars, then it's, all right, how do I understand this track? Okay, you know, and how do I understand it daytime versus nighttime, you know, short runs versus long runs. There's just so much more to learn here. And you run, you know, twice as many weekends, and, you know, you run at all these different tracks. So there's just so much more that you have to continue to learn and try to process it in your head. And, you know, it's a difficult transition for sure, but it's been a lot of fun because I feel like I'm learning. Like, you know, a lot of people ask me, are you ever going to go back to Indy cars? And, you know, I'm smart enough to say that you never say never because you don't know what's going to happen in your life. But I don't even know, like, if I hadn't came and done this, if I'd still be running Indy cars, because I felt like, you know, for such a, you know, once I started getting the road courses down and I felt like we could win there, you know, there was no more learning. You know, we run the same cars for so long that it just feels like, you know, every day I'm learning something new and there's something going through my head about, you know, how are we going to be able to become better.
What do you like about stock cars?
I like the fact that you get to race as much as you do. That's fun. It keeps you busy, keeps you focused on what's going on. I like the competition level of it. You know, there's so many guys that can win on any given weekend, or, you know, that have that ability of running well, that each time you kind of bump yourself up and, you know, you can kind of finish a little bit better, or, you know, you feel like you learn something more and it makes you more competitive. That, you know, it's that sense of, you know, accomplishment until you get to the point where you can win, and then it's like, how do you get to the point where you can win championships? You know, so I feel that there's a steady improvement to be made, and I feel like we're heading in the right directions. And it's just so tough to get to throw yourself in on the top level of the sport.
Right.
With only having maybe 15 stock car races in my entire career, and then coming and trying to do this full time. If I ever had it to do over again, you know, I would have ran a year of nationwide and ran trucks, and, you know, gave myself a full year to learn, you know, a lot in those cars, because I feel that even at this point that I would probably be better, because you give yourself an opportunity to go out there and run and to learn against less competition instead of being, you know, right up there at the top with, you know, all the best guys.
I got you. Well, one more question, and then we'll let you go back to work. Tell me a little bit about your charitable foundation.
Sam Hornish Jr. Foundation, we do a lot of different things in quite a few different places, but we have a charity bowling tournament that we do every year that we actually do during the Second Texas event, and we've been able to raise a lot of money for North Texas children's charities. I try to do a lot in my hometown. I've done a lot in Indianapolis, places that we've spent time in, but we kind of, you know, try to pick and choose, you know, the getting money and getting you know, resources to the best places. And it's one of those things where I really enjoy doing it. I love doing it in and around places that we race at, because we're getting so much from those communities that we race at, by fans coming out, you know, fans buying product, you know, just all the things that we're able to get. And, you know, all of us that are running over here are pretty fortunate to be able to have had the opportunity to live pretty good lives and to get to do what we always wanted to do. It's just nice to be able to help people out.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, we really appreciate you appearing with us on the Gresham Motorsports Park Garage Talk today, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
I'm Dave Wiley for Gresham Motorsports Park Garage Talk with Sam Hornish Jr. and the number 77 Penske Racing Mobile One Dodge Charger.